The world is full of urban legends, remarkable stories that spread like viruses around the planet, mutating and evolving until no one can remember which ones are true and which ones are urban legends. In this episode called Bad Medicine, you'll see 3 stories featuring our very own brand of macabre medical miracles. First up, Zack Dunlap crashes his ATV and then leaves doctors dumbfounded. Then fitness freak Francis Gaynor goes on a health kick that has very unhealthy results. And finally, Debbie Parkhurst discovers that eating an apple a day doesn't necessarily keep the doctor away. Watch all 3 stories and decide which ones are true and which ones are false. Find out if you guessed right at the end of the show. First, it's a story known as Back for More. In the peaceful farming town of Frederick, Oklahoma, they know it's hard to keep a good man down. It's home to one young man who just didn't know when to quit. Meet Zack Dunlap. Zack is nuts about quad biking. He's tweaked his 4-wheeler to do over 100 miles an hour. Zack's driving partner is his best buddy, Colton Gaines.
Me and Zack, I've kind of known him all my life. We drag race each other, we jump, ride wheelies. The rush that it gives you feels good.
One day, daredevil Zack pulled one astonishing stunt that left everyone aghast in wonder. In December 2007, Zack and Colton are about to head home after a day's hard riding.
So I was in a hurry to get on back. I guess I was just having a little bit too much fun going wide open. There ain't no telling how fast I was doing. And I saw Colton ahead of me, so I slammed on my brakes.
I hear this tire squealing.
I cut it as hard as I could, but the tires were already sliding.
I see his 4-wheeler spin to the side and lose control.
My front tires twisted and they caught traction and it flipped me. And then I did almost a full roll in the air, and then the first thing that hit the ground was the back of the right side of my head. After that, I go blank.
I turned around,
Zack!
And I yelled his name.
Zack!
And he was laying face down. He wouldn't respond to anything. He was just laying there.
Unconscious and broken, Zack is rushed to the hospital. His mother Pam is waiting for him when he arrives.
When they brought him in, his head was all swollen, and there was just blood everywhere. And that's just the most terrifying thing that a parent could see. And they took him into the trauma room there, closed the door, and you're just left sitting there not knowing.
The trauma team works frantically to save Zack.
Finally, the doctor that was on call came out and he said the brain can't survive without the blood flowing to it.
Zack's battered brain has shut down, leaving him in a deep coma.
I just thought that this couldn't be true. It's Zack. This could never happen to Zack. He's too strong for this. There's no way.
That's when they told us that he was brain dead.
Doctors don't expect Zack to regain consciousness, so his family agrees to turn off the life support.
If he couldn't be here, then he would want to help somebody else out, because that's the kind of boy he is.
They decided to harvest and donate his unharmed internal organs. Doctors begin the preparations.
Going in and saying goodbye was probably the hardest thing.
But Dan gets the feeling that the doctors are wrong.
And I just told him, Zack, if you're in there, you're going to have to do something. If anything's going to be done, now's the time.
With time running out, Dan sets out to prove that Zack is not really brain dead.
And I pulled my pocket knife out. I just run it across the bottom of his foot.
And Zack jerked his leg.
Did you see that?
The medical staff are unimpressed.
Well, of course, that was explained as just a normal reflex that people with brain injuries have, and it's not to be anything to get our hopes up about.
Dan refuses to give up.
So Dan was like, he's in there. I know.
Check this out. What is it?
He took his fingernail and jabbed it as hard as he could underneath Zack's fingernail.
To put it bluntly, I'd inflicted some pain on him, because if you can't respond to pain, then you probably won't respond to anything.
And when he did that, Zack jerked his hand clear across his body.
This is no mere reflex.
That second time, everybody's seen it.
Zack's reaction means he's regaining brain activity, so the doctors immediately call off the organ team.
We had gone from them telling us that our son was brain dead to now he's moving. The doctor just looked at us and said, I have no explanation.
Within just a few hours, Zack is well on his way to making a miraculous recovery.
Well, they said I was brain dead for 6.5 hours, so I guess my brain was just taking a break.
And it's all thanks to his stubborn refusal to give up hope.
There's no doubt Zack was dead. No doubt in my mind. Something miraculous happened, and Zack wasn't dead anymore.
So did this story really happen, or was it just medical make-believe? Find out at the end of the show. But before then, take a look at this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 9. Woof, 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 woof. In the former USSR, Dr. Vladimir Demikov has a state-sponsored passion. He spends his days transplanting hearts and lungs from one animal to the other. One night in 1954, he goes beyond the call of duty and conducts an experiment straight out of science fiction. Demikov reveals his fantastical creation, a live dog with 2 heads. He has transplanted the head of a live puppy onto the neck of a larger dog. The 2-headed creature survives for 6 days. So, is this a shaggy dog story, or did Demikov really invent Doggenstein? Is it true or false? It's true. Dr. Demikov's animal antics paved the way for present-day organ transplants in humans. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 mind-blowing stories. You must choose which ones truly took place and which ones are fictional fantasies. So far, you've seen the tale of Zack Dunlap, who was declared brain dead by doctors, but came back to life just before his internal organs were harvested. But is it fact or fiction? We'll let you know at the end of the show. Now it's time for our next story. It's called Losing It. Los Angeles is the capital city of the body beautiful. Detox, facelifts, and personal trainers are a way of life here. But vanity can be fatal, as this LA dweller found out. Meet Heidi Parrish.
I came to LA in the late 90s with the dream of being a movie star. But auditions don't pay the bills, and I had to take temporary jobs to make ends meet.
Heidi saw how dangerous vanity could be as her last boss went on the mother of all health kicks. Back in 1999, Heidi was personal assistant to marketing executive Frances Gaynor, a woman on a mission to lose 100 pounds.
I need you to go through and highlight pages 3.
I said, if you're so unhappy about it, why don't you do something about it? All of a sudden, she says I'm brilliant, tells me not to let it go to my head. She tells me she wants me to find out who the best personal trainer is in the city, who the best personal chef is, where to get the best gym equipment.
Let me know where are we?
And then she says she's made a new goal for herself.
No, I need him to come
Her
back.
goal is to lose 100 pounds in the next 100 days.
Quickly watch the step, watch the door, please.
Frances begins by having a state-of-the-art gym installed in her house.
If you quickly, please. You're putting that together too, right?
I'm thinking she's really serious about this plan.
Armed with a personal trainer, Frances embarks on her new regime.
It Frances really stuck to the plan. I wasn't surprised. She was a very determined woman.
The new lifestyle is really having an effect. The pounds are just falling off.
I am amazing.
But Frances is obsessed. She wants the weight to come off even faster.
I walked in one day and she's having a fight with her personal trainer, Christos. He tells her she needs to slow it down. And she says no. She fires him just like that, tells him to get out.
What's wrong with you? Get out! That's what you want? That's what you want?
Get out! And then she tells me I need to make an appointment at the best plastic surgeon in town.
Frances wants a tummy tuck to flatten her stomach. But when Heidi agrees with Christos that she's going too far, Frances sends her packing too.
She fires me and just tells me to get out.
Adamant, Frances vows to be under the knife by end of the week, but Heidi's not seen the last of her old boss. 2 weeks later, Heidi gets a strange call as she's going to sleep.
Hello?
The voice is familiar, but unintelligible.
Frances?
Concerned about her old boss, Heidi pays Frances a visit the next morning.
Hi, Frances. It's Heidi.
I ring the doorbell and there's no answer. I notice that the door is slightly ajar, so
Frances?
I decide to walk in.
She's greeted by an unfamiliar sight.
It just didn't look like her house. There was food wrappers, all this junk food. There's pop cans, there's empty buckets.
Someone's had a fried food fiesta.
I was just trying to think, did she have any nephews I didn't know about?
Heidi ventures further inside.
I decide to go over to the couch. And there she was.
Realizing diets, exercise, and surgery didn't bring her happiness, Frances went on a fatal feeding frenzy.
There wasn't enough time for her stitches to heal. She just split her insides open.
Her newly trimmed tummy ruptured under the strain of a rapidly expanding stomach.
It just seemed like she died the most excruciating death.
So is this story real, or is it just a fabulous fraud? The truth will out at the end of the show. But before that, check out this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 19. Look before you flush. Boston native Martha Embers is taken to the hospital with fever and chills. Shortly after, she has muscle spasms and then promptly dies. Over the next few days, 5 other patients come in with the same symptoms. The only thing they have in common is that they've all traveled overseas but to different destinations. The break in the case comes when a chef from the airport restaurant dies in the same way. It turns out that the rims of the airport toilets are home to a bunch of poisonous Brazilian spiders. Accidentally brought in from South America, they've been injecting unsuspecting washroom victims with their deadly venom. Decide if this tale of toilet trauma is true or false. It's false. It started as an internet hoax in 1999 in Chicago. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 amazing stories. It's up to you to sort the totally true from the mendacious myths. So far, you've seen the tale of Zack Dunlap, who came out of a coma just as his organs were about to be donated. And the story of Frances Gaynor, the weight loss addict, whose junk food relapse ripped open her tummy tuck stitches. But which of these stories are the real McCoy? All will be revealed at the end of the show. Now it's time for a final story. This one's called An Apple a Day. Everybody knows that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But for one resident of Northeast Maryland, owning a pet was far better for their health. Person in question? Meet animal lover Debbie Parkhurst.
Let's get him. Come on, hurry up.
I've been an animal lover all my life. I've rescued since I was about, I think, 4 years old. I love all animals. It just happens I have dogs. That's what keeps showing up.
There we go.
One of these dogs would come to have a massive impact on Debbie's life.
Hear that?
In 2005, a local couple find a puppy abandoned in a trash heap. The Humane Society tells them to contact Debbie.
I got a phone call. They had a dog. He was 4 weeks old. He was in really bad shape when I got him. His eyes were seeping, starving, very malnutritioned.
The puppy had been discarded like a piece of trash.
I gave him a bath. Underneath all of that was this little fluff ball. It was love at first sight. That was it.
Smitten, she decides to call him Toby.
We noticed a big welt on his leg. His one paw is deformed a little bit. It ended up being a bone infection. Toby spent most of about 6 months to a year, I bet, in a cast.
Realizing that Toby needs 24-hour care, Debbie decides to work from home so she can look after him.
Once that happened, there was a very strong bond.
2 years later, that special bond is put to the ultimate test on what seems to be just another normal day.
When I thought I'd stop and have a snack, that day it was just happened to be an apple. I always peel my apples. I have since I was young, but I read in a magazine all the nutrition's in the skin, so I left the skin on.
It proves to be a fateful decision.
When I first bit the apple, the skin was tough. And before I know it, I was choking. My first thought was, I'll dial 911, but what do you do when you can't talk?
She attempts the Heimlich maneuver, but it doesn't work.
It was a horrible feeling, one I will never forget.
So she tries to dislodge the apple skin using a chair instead.
I pushed down as hard as I could, and nothing happened.
Rapidly running out of breath, Debbie's life is slipping away.
Tears going down my face. I remember that horrible feeling of that cold sweat tingle. It was absolutely terrifying.
Debbie's gasps alert Toby.
I still remember hearing him come down that hallway. I'll never forget that sound. I'll always remember that. He jumped up and he knocked me down. It was funny because the only thought I had at that time was, Toby, this is not a good time to play.
At that moment, an elderly neighbor happens to walk into the house looking for Debbie.
Hello?
And I looked up. He curls both feet up and he actually pounded on me.
It looks like Toby is actually attacking his stricken owner.
And I remember her yelling, Toby, Toby.
Get off of her, Toby! Get off of her right now!
But there's no stopping Toby.
He jumped on me and the apple came out.
Far from attacking her, Toby was giving Debbie a doggy Heimlich that saved her life.
Right here! What's happened to you?
It's almost as if he knew.
Perhaps this is a case of canine karma.
To this day, I believe he knew something was wrong. He may not have known what was wrong, but he knew something was wrong.
So is this a true tale, or is it just a shaggy dog story? You don't have to wait much longer to find out. All will be revealed after this final mini-myth. Mini-myth number 199, Brain for Chess. Chess Grandmaster Vladimir Alexikov is competing in a tournament in Leningrad, Russia. He's playing a formidable opponent, and the game is intense. While deliberating his next move, there is a loud bang, and something splashes onto the table. His opponent and the crowd. Everyone is shocked to see that Alexikov's head has just exploded. The autopsy reveals that Alexikov suffered from a rare neurological disorder that floods the body with huge surges of electricity when under extreme stress. This causes swelling that eventually ruptures the skull. So, does this story expand your mind, or are you just a pawn in her deception? It's false. There are no known cases of someone's head exploding from too much thinking. It's time to reveal the truth about our 3 stories. First up, it's the tale of Frances Gaynor, the woman who dropped 100 pounds, but then went on a junk food binge that burst her tummy tuck stitches wide open. But is it true or false?
That wasn't a true story. If it was me, I never would have gone back to visit Frances.
This urban legend was born out of the 1980s plastic surgery boom as a warning for all those going under the knife. Next, it's a story of Debbie Parkhurst. She was choking on an apple, but was saved by her trusty dog Toby, who gave Debbie the Heimlich maneuver. But did you swallow that story?
My name is Debbie Parkhurst. I was saved by my dog Toby, and it is a true story.
Debbie even got little paw-shaped bruises where Toby had been pushing on her chest. Which leaves a story of ATV crash victim Zack Dunlap. He woke up from a coma just as doctors were switching off his life support system so that his internal organs could be donated. But is it true or false?
I'm Zack Dunlap, and this is a true story.
Despite being clinically brain dead, Zack made a full recovery. Doctors still have no idea how he survived. That's the end of our episode called Bad Medicine. Were you able to cut the tumor of lies from the body of truth? Don't worry if you couldn't. You'll get another chance to make a myth-busting diagnosis in the next installment of Urban Legends.